All right, guys, welcome. Appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time out of your day to come hang out with us. We are covering part 9 of our 10-part series. We're going to talk about insecurity tonight. Um, Everyone here knows us, but we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves anyway. My name is Angelo. I've been using essential oils for Lane and I have been doing this for 9 or 10 years. We can't figure it out. We meant to look that up, but somewhere around that time we've been doing it, and we're fine. It's literally has changed the way we do take care of ourselves on a regular basis. And I've changed my resume in the past month. I am no longer working as a paramedic. I'm not teaching up at Hack any longer. I'm staying focused on teaching CPR for another company that I work with, and focusing on just the oils company right now. So that's going to be our main focus from this point forward. So that's me. Sean, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, my name is Sean. I have been fortunate to meet Angelo a number of years ago when he did teach at Hack. And he and another one of our colleagues, Sharon, pretty much beat me up in the parking lot one day and says, "You're going to try this." And I will tell you, I am super skeptical. I come from a biochemistry background. And so very analytical. And it's like, wow, this is kind of working. And one thing led to another. And here I am 7 years later. And I'm really fortunate that he asked me to co-author with him this emotion series.
So appreciate that, Sean. You've been helping me learn a lot along the way here too, and it's
Thanks.
we're learning not just about the oils and just other things we can do when we don't have our oils, right? So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. All right, can you guys see that?
Yes, but it's in edit mode right now.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, here we go. Sean, this was a pretty good title page that you found. How did you come about this one?
I put in about emotional insecurity, and this was something that came up, and it's like, I like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at that point in time, it was like I was grabbing it.
Yeah. It reminds me of that other saying that says, don't let perfection get in the way of something that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
All right. So we introduced ourselves. That's us. Our little declaration that we state before every session is, we as wellness advocates, this isn't our intent for us to diagnose, cure, advise, or prescribe anything for any kind of ailment, disease, injury, deformity, pain, or any other condition, physical or mental, real or imaginary. This is just information that we want to disseminate out to you guys, because we find this to be useful in our own families, and we just want to pass this on to you guys and see if you have the same benefits that we get from it. All right, Sean, I'll turn it over to you at this point.
Okay, very good. So emotional insecurity. Many authors agree that emotional security is our ability to control our emotions. And that sounds really easy on the surface. However, it is very challenging. And we'll understand the vicious cycle that it can become later on in this presentation. And as I was reading and pulling information together, I'm going, wow, this is really ugly. It reminds me of the dark web. As we've heard about the dark web on the internet, this is very much the dark web of our emotions. Stuff gets down in there, And as you can see, the other thing that I stated was it is a vicious, insatiable cancer, and it can literally eat you alive. We're going to see stages that I name them stages because it is a stepwise process. But with anything that we've talked about in emotions, it is a matter of degree. Sometimes our emotional insecurity is very superficial and we can manage it with some effort. You know, it's not a walk in the park, but at the same point in time, if it gets really bad, and we're going to see that it can, then we have something that we need some additional help in addition to this. The American Psychological Association has this definition, and as you can see, it's multifaceted. So it's typically not just one thing that causes that, but you can see the things that it creates uncertainty about, whether it's your worth or your ability, your skills, or just generally the value of your own person. And then it sets up this sensation that you're in risk or in danger of someone or something. So have you given me, no, you're going to have to advance, Angelo. Okay. There you go. So the one thing Angelo and I discussed, and is that this is something that some people can get into, and it can be very damaging for them. Now, again, if it's something superficial, very light, yeah, you can manage it on your own. However, again, remember what our opening disclosure was that Angelo read. If you need more help, please seek it, because we want you to be a vibrant, healthy, active individual. Again, most insurance companies now are paying for evaluation and treatment. And if not, there's this option here through BetterHelp. It has a decent rating and has a cost at $60 per week. So let's get down into what may cause this emotional insecurity. Some of the literature pointed back to this starts in our childhood, whether it be the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the sexual abuse. Something happened and we did not develop those mindsets or those coping mechanisms that allows us to have a healthy emotional response to other things that occurs in life. The other thing can happen even as adults is maybe we're involved in a significant motor vehicle collision, or someone close to us has died, or something happened at work and it is a traumatic situation and it just throws us into this tailspin. So those are the two most common causes. Now, as you can see, these next 5, these are the areas that emotional insecurity is most often seen in. So we have it in that relationships, so that we there is something that has happened as we were growing up, or as we were involved in a relationship with somebody, that we no longer will allow ourselves to become vulnerable, and we are unwilling to trust another individual. And matter of fact, for next month's, I keep seeing this thing, and Angelo and I have just finished our training on MetaPower, and relationships is something that they kept referring to back and back again. So relationships is a key one. Social is that lack of confidence in one ability in social setting. Now, this is not that person that, you know, they're just a shy individual. This is where they start to wind up pulling themselves up inside their home. They don't go out to with people after work. They just avoid all other social interactions for whatever reasons. It's not the same as the fear of open spaces like agoraphobia, but they become otherwise paralyzed and don't bind into those social networks. Of course, body image is a big one. And this is where it can be manifested in the anorexia or the bulimia, or some people that I know that are power lifters. They're always comparing themselves to one another and they're not happy with themselves. And the one gentleman, I literally took and shook him and I says, you are nobody else, knock it off. I had some other expletives in there, but I'm keeping this family friendly. So again, a lot of our society, particularly the print media, has done such a negative aspect for us because all the models are just perfect, but in real life, they are not deep down. Thank you, Photoshop. Job, and again, we can feel fraudulent or inadequate in our workplace, or we get that situation where somebody was promoted over us. And again, why? There may be something else behind. It may be that it was the boss's daughter that is making the promotion, and yeah, she is absolutely inept, but that eventually will come out. That is no reflection on you as a human being. But what I'm seeing a lot in the literature is these next three big things, and that's our basic needs, the things that affect us on the day-to-day basis, and that's food. If you start going to the grocery store, you'll notice that the shelves are less stocked than they used to be. I think it's Pakistan is really suffering with food shortages right now. Here in the United States, housing, not to get into the political thing, but as we continue to have people come up from the South, from all those various countries south of the border, what is it, Angela? We're at 1.8 million that has come in the past 2 years. It's something significant like that. But here, where are we going to put all these people? And so it's now creating some insecurity. And then, of course, what we have seen in healthcare, post-COVID, we have lost so many healthcare workers because they got burned out. The other thing is that the cost of medications has skyrocketed and people can't afford adequate, decent medical care anymore. And this starts to threaten us, and it creates that insecurity and devalues us as a human being. So let's ask some questions. Are we emotionally insecure? Now, the more, and this isn't based off of any scientific test or screening tool, but this is pulled out of the various articles that I read. And so one of the things is poor decision-making skills or limited ability to choose quickly. Now, there are some things that requires time. For example, you need to buy a new vehicle. That should not be done impulsively. You want to make sure that you're getting the best vehicle to suit your needs. So that's okay. But like I have a friend who, when we go out to dinner, it is 20 to 30 minutes before he can choose what he wants to eat. That's an issue.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. The wraparound there is narrow it down to two. You order one thing, I'll order the other thing, and then we'll share off of each other's plate. Okay, whatever.
I like that.
Yeah, it actually it has helped me explore my palatal taste as well. All right, being overly critical of yourself and others. We beat ourselves up. We are our own worst critic, and we shouldn't be. All right, we're a human being going through this life, and yes, are we going to make mistakes? Absolutely, but it should not define us. When we see a flaw or somebody do something else, we should understand that there are things behind. As my one psychologist friend keeps saying, Sean, look for the assumptions. And I'm getting a better appreciation because I don't know everything. And I'm appreciating him helping me to open my mind even further that way. Then, of course, we have, is this person having that low self-esteem marked by self-deprecation or low self-worth perceptions? This is a big one. This is the one that is starting to get concerning, that maybe professional health needs to come in, particularly if it's the self-deprecation involved. Some people, what they will do is they come off very grandiose. Everything is beautiful, where in fact, they are crumbling like a sandcastle in a hurricane. And they do this to conceal that they don't want people to know how much they're hurting right now. Perfectionism to the point of never being satisfied. This can be a problem. And Angelo, what was that quote you said earlier? I loved it.
Don't let perfection get in the way of something that's pretty good.
Yeah. And being a type A person and having done research, and my professors constantly, I almost felt like I was being caned by them. Is this good enough? Is this good enough? And finally, what I learned was they were trying to get me to realize that, yes, it was good enough, all right, but it's never going to be perfect, all right? You have to accept that. All right. So strong desire to be alone and avoiding the social situations. We kind of reflected on that in the previous slide. Struggles to believe in others and building strong relationships. Again, this comes back into that relationship issue. And if we've had something that has harmed us, that's going to be a challenge for us. All right, poor communication skills and putting others' needs and wants over their own. We typically see this in people who have been traumatized, particularly if they were in an abusive relationship, because they go into a rescuer mode. So when they see somebody else that is hurting or in a predicament, whether or not it benefits that person. So I'm going to use the word me in this case. So if I see somebody that's in trouble and I put the other person's needs and wants over my own, and I consistently do that, that is problematic, because you don't have clear boundaries and you can't save the world. And so this is can get us into putting us down that path of badness. All right, so high level stress and anxiety, that's kind of a self-explanatory. Fear of criticism, judgment, and assessment from others. Some people do not take constructive criticism very well, but on the same side is we often don't know how to adequately give that corrective feedback. And it can be very harsh. And some people are a little bit more sensitive, particularly if they have come from an abusive relationship, whatever form of abuse that is. Constantly needing to show their achievement and that need for praise for validity. It's that person that is always in your face. Look at what I did. Look at what I did. See, aren't I a good person? That's a concern, because there is lack of self-esteem and lack of self-worth there. One of the things that in the stages that we'll talk about here very shortly is that defensiveness. When you immediately explode back, trying to defend your position and put blame elsewhere, that is an indication that you are insecure about something or someone. Attempt to spread doubt or insecurity to others. I thought of this as the gossip monger, all right? One of the things that I'm finding out is people who tend to gossip aren't secure about themselves, and what they do is they need to spread this distrust amongst other people. Using false modesty. Angela and I work with a person, and whenever she speaks to you, there's just always this over-sickening sweetness. And he and I have had conversations about this, that I'm not buying that the genuineness of those comments. I think they're trying to be polite, but at the same point in time, it's like, what's going on in the background? And then, of course, that great distrust within themselves. Now, this is where we're really getting into bad problems. And again, we've talked about the ego multiple times in this program, and we know that the ego is set up for that negative bias, and it's going to create things. And the ego likes negativity, and if it doesn't get it, it's going to create more, and it wants more. And so this is where that analogy of the insatiable cancer comes in. And that becomes a problem for us. So as we said, Artisan identifies these 5 phases or concept areas. However, looking at other authors and talking it over with some of my psych friends, they agree with me. They're almost stages. So that first one is that defensiveness. They're just unable to hear or accept differences. All right, you present data in front of them, they come back at you with why you're wrong, where in fact the truth is the truth, and they just don't accept that. Now, redirection and misdirection are very closely the same. The difference is that redirection is dealing with a person. Misdirection or storytelling is focusing on a situation or an object. All right, but the bottom line is that you're blaming someone, or you're blaming something, or something that happened. And a lot of this deals with the ego, and it was using previous information, and the ego tends to distort things and makes it looking bad. And the bottom line is there's no acceptance of the responsibility that occurred. Comparison, again, the ego likes to create confusion because it throws up these negative bad filters on similar circumstances. And sometimes what it's trying to do is compare an apple to an Oldsmobile. You can't do it, but the ego is going to force it one way or the other. And so that becomes a problem because you don't have an exact match comparison. But the one that really bothers me, and as I was talking to some of the psych people, is the invalidation. Because no matter, the person is wrong no matter what and how they feel, and all trust and all security is lost. And this can lead us into those dangerous anxiety issues, or even worse, down into depression, where they just totally shut down. Angelo, you're up.
Sean, before I go, I want to back up to these 15.
Sure.
I don't know, what are these, bullets or evaluation?
Yeah, things to consider.
Okay, so if I look at these things to consider and I go, okay, yeah, that one's me. That one's me. Yeah, that's kind of me. Should I be concerned if I find myself in a lot of these comments? Or is there something I should take action on at some point?
Yeah, so if we start seeing that we have multiple of these, we are emotionally insecure.
Okay.
Now, and as I said, this isn't like a diagnostic test, but these are some things that should make us start thinking. The more you have, the more likely you are to be emotionally insecure. But if we're getting into some things where, like the third one there, that low self-esteem, or we're never satisfied, or we're point number 6, point number 7, and then point number 15, those we probably may not be able to handle by ourselves and may need some professional resources. However, we've talked about stress and anxiety, and there are various levels. Sometimes you may be able to manage that all entirely on your own, or, hey, Angelo, I'm having a rough time. Can you help me through this? And that's fine. Can stress and anxiety get to the point where we need medical and psychological support? Oh, absolutely. So again, you have to be honest with yourself to know, are you to the point that this is something you can manage by yourself? Or do you need to bring in some professional resources? Is that
Cool.
where you?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, because I
Sure,
was
sure.
looking at that and I'm going, oh my, I have some of those and I don't know what necessarily I should do
I'm
sometimes.
guilty as well. I'm guilty as well.
Okay. We're normal then, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So the emotional guidance scale, remember, this is when we're dealing with our emotions, this is a work in progress, right? And yes, we want to be over on the right hand side of this scale. We want to feel the passion. We want to have that joy, the freedom, the gratitude, and the love. But maybe sometimes we're stuck over at the frustration and defensiveness aspect of it. And to make that broad jump all the way to the right, that might be not be possible. So we have to do it in steps. We have to look at the situation you're in and everything else around you that's kind of making up where you are and how you're feeling. So if we make small steps on this, we have to remember that small steps are success. We have to take the gradual, we have to take the small wins, and that's going to put us better off emotionally and more have more stability in our lives, and then we continue to grow and move to that the right hand side of that scale. So don't set yourself up for failure trying to make those big leaps and bounds, because it's just not going to happen. Take those small wins.
And
Now,
something else, Angelo,
yeah,
is that we have to experience some of those negative emotions so that we can understand and appreciate the positive. Because if we only focus on the positive, when we have those negatives, we don't have the skill set, and that sets us up for a failure.
that is a really good point, Dan. Thanks for bringing that out.
Sure.
So one of the things I want you guys to know is that Sean puts together his side of the information. I pretty much put together the slides for the oils. And every month, it never ceases to amaze me that the information that he's pulling and putting together falls right in line with the oils that we use. And is it happenstance? Is it happy accident? I don't think so. I think it's pure intentional. But you can see from the list of oils, when we look at the insecurity, we're going to look at shyness, body judgment, self-comparison, body shame. All of those can be addressed in using some of these oils. I'm not going to talk about all of these oils, but I did pick out a few, and I found them to be quite interesting. Now, Kay, I know this is one of your favorites. This is the oil Beautiful. This is a blend, right? But the problem with this oil is that it was a one-time offer, so it's not readily available. But if you're interested in obtaining some of this oil, connect with me after this, and I'll show you where to go. And I believe I belong to a couple of Facebook groups where I will just go out and ask, hey, has anybody got this oil? And I'm willing to pay for it and have it shipped to my house. And that may be how we have to get that. But there are ways to get this oil if you're interested in it. But look at what it does, right? First off, since we don't have it readily available, maybe we can make up our own. I gave you the formula there to make it up. And yes, I included it. It includes Elevation, which is yet another oil that doTERRA discontinued. And I've been searching for 3 days. I found somewhere at one point the how to make your own Elevation. And now I can't find it. So if I do find that, I will get that out to you guys. But that's the composition of the what Beautiful is. And you can see it's not something we can use internally. We can only use it from inhaling or diffusing. And this is a great oil. It comes in a roller ball. Just apply it right over the heart or the center of your chest, back of your neck, and behind the ears. That's a great way to use it. And you smell pretty darn good after a while too. But check out what it does for us, right? like Sean was saying, sometimes it's so easy to beat up ourselves so much, but we have to kind of forget those personal faults that we have. And we got to remind ourselves that, you know what, I have inner strength, I have talents, I have capabilities, I have things to offer to people. This blend can also help you acknowledge that there is good within yourself. And you know what? By gosh, you need to get that out and you need to share it with the rest of the world because they need to see the real you. This oil will also help you develop this innate sense of what's good and trustworthy, right? If your priorities are a little bit out of alignment, this gives you the strength to let go of those relationships. Sean was talking a little bit ago about building those stronger relationships. It is important. It is an important factor to have good, strong relationships, to have that emotional well balance. And this oil is really good at helping bring that self-confidence back, bring that little bit of self-love back to you. It lets you be a little bit graceful and grateful. It shows you that you are capable and that you are worthy. I can't see the picture I put up top. What did I put up? Oh, love yourself. Yeah, that's hard to do for some of us sometimes. But this oil is really good at helping you kind of realign yourself and find that, re-find yourself. Bergamot, self-acceptance, right? Remember, self-acceptance is a process. This isn't something that's going to happen over a weekend. You can't go on a weekend retreat and figure everything's going to be fine. But bergamot is a really good oil to use in your solar plexus area. It's that kind of that third energy center. There's a few diffuser blends that I found that I think fall right into trying to get that mental shift back to a positive energy. You can use this oil aromatically, topically, and even internally. Some people just place a drop or two under their tongue, or they'll put it in a capsule. Sometimes people will put a drop or two in like an ounce of water, swish it around real quick and shoot that back. That's a great way to get it internally. I personally like the capsules because some oils I don't like the flavor of them. So putting them in the capsule definitely avoids some of that bad taste in your mouth. But this oil is really good if you're looking for some kind of cleansing effect, right? You're feeling a little stagnant and you got some limited beliefs going on and you need a nudge, you need a push out of that so you can kind of get out of that rut. It's a wonderful oil if you're feeling a little down, a little hopeless. This kind of wakes you up a little bit and says, you know what, we're going to help you, give you the courage to go out and share the real you and who you are, what you have to offer. It's really good at reigniting the optimism and confidence of yourself. It imparts that true self-acceptance. You got to realize that, hey, I'm okay. And it teaches you to let go of that self-judgment by learning how to love yourself and be okay with yourself. And you know what? You're even okay with yourself when you mess up. It's okay to mess up. Don't be afraid of that. But this is a wonderful oil if you're looking for something to help with self-acceptance, if you need to be a little bit more optimistic, if you just want to be good enough without having to be perfect every time. This is a fantastic oil to do it. I know one of Lauren's kids loves the smell of bergamot. It just puts her in her happy place when she smells it. And it's something as simple as that. And Lauren will just take the cap off and let her daughter smell it right out of the bottle. And she's good to go after that. Copaiba, this is kind of the oil of the unveiling, right? The one thing I wanted to, I was reminded of, and that I wanted to remind you guys, is that Copaiba is actually a blend of 4 different Copaiba trees, 4 different blends, right? 4 different species, kind of the same as frankincense, that it comes from different species. So I think that's kind of why it gives some of the potency and some of the effects that it has. Again, you can see I gave you some diffuser blends that you can work you can have there. This oil works really well with rose, jasmine, clary sage, cedarwood, and the few others that are listed there. But how often have we sat with ourselves and we kind of wonder, how did we get here, right? How did we get where we are? And when we look back at and try to maybe connect the dots, we look at the different experiences that we had, and we start realizing, we start seeing some intertwining energy that links these one experience to the other, to the other, to the other. And all of a sudden we have this little bit of unveiling, and now we have a deeper meaning of who we are and how we got there. This can help you discover that, if a lot of us are plagued with feelings of guilt, shame, and inadequacy. We don't want those feelings. We need to deal with those. So what we can do is, if we have something that's gnawing at us and it says, you know what, I feel a little guilty, I feel a little shameful, then copaiba could be the oil that you reach for, and you undergo the appropriate remorse. We kind of process those feelings, but then we let it go and we move on. Okay, we can't sit there and harbor in there and just keep swirling around and get wrapped around the axle, because we got to learn how to deal with it, not beat ourselves up so much, and then kind of lay that down and move on from that, and so you can move into a better spot. This is a fantastic oil if you want to be a little bit more self-aware, kind of redefining yourself, if you want to have that purposeful existence, if you want to give yourself a little forgiveness. This is a fantastic oil to grab. It has many other physical attributes to it as well, but on the emotional side of it, don't discard this oil, because this can provide some really good help for you guys.
And that is one oil that can be taken internally as well, and it's very potent on the endocannabinoid system, which is where we get a lot of the good effects from that.
Thank you for that. Awesome.
Sure.
A couple other oils you can consider: grapefruit and pink pepper, right? So Sean was talking a little bit about body shaming earlier, and grapefruit is good to help you with honoring your body, right? This supports, if we have somebody that's struggling with just manners of what they call manners of mistreatment. This can be anything from severe dieting that Sean talked about, the body weight, the type. Maybe somebody that's a cutter, that they take physical abuse on their own body. Maybe grapefruit oil would be something that they could get a benefit from, because what this is going to do is it's going to encourage the integrity by respecting one's physical needs, and listening to their true physical needs and impulses, right? So this is going to help transition and help deal with some of these issues that they may have. Pink pepper, I thought, was another oil that could be really good for folks. We have a really bad thing that we do sometimes, right? We're always about the one up or the one down. We're always comparing ourselves, like Sean was saying about the bodybuilders. And if we continue to compare ourselves with others, you're going to find out you're going to consistently fall short, because that's what we do in our own mind. You have to realize, like Sean said, you are you. There is nobody else out there like that. And you have to own that, what you are, who you are. And pink pepper can help you do this, right? It helps you kind of take that middle path. You don't have to worry about the high road or the low road, but take the middle path where things are a little bit equal and you're okay with yourself. You learn to accept yourself a little bit more. This oil is fantastic for that. So I'm going to jump over into affirmations now. And I did something a little bit different this time. Usually when it comes to doing affirmations, we know we need to say these out loud, because we need to hear ourselves say that. We need to say it out loud. We need to say it at least 3 times, because there's this thing with repetition that we know if we hear it more frequently, then we start believing it. And we have to say it with sincerity. We can't just say it and hope it works and hope we say all the right words. We have to believe what you say. You have to say it with intention, and you have to have conviction when you say it, and you have to believe in it, right? So what I did this time is I kind of threw in some of the what's going to happen or what's supposed to happen as we say these, right? So the first one is, even though I'm feeling insecure, I'm willing to love and accept myself anyway. And what you're doing is you're validating that feeling. It's real and it's worthy of being felt. And through your validation, those feelings allow you to move and to shift, right? So instead of reprimanding yourself, instead of beating yourself up, you use a little bit of compassion and attention, and you listen to that. It's okay. The second one is, my feelings are legitimate, but they are not me. They don't define me, right? So just say, like, I've noticed that I'm feeling, fill in a blank, whatever feeling that it is that you're having, right? And you honor that because it's here and it's there to tell you something. And you sit with that feeling without identifying it. You don't have to name it, but you have to realize, okay, it's there. There's so much more than just that one sensation or that one thought or that one action, but it's powerful enough and for you to be enlightened by what you are feeling. So it's okay to kind of just hang out there and sense and feel what you're feeling and sense that. The third one is, I choose to love with all my might because that's who I am. This insecurity is telling you that there's a distance between who you are and who you really are. To fill that gap, you have to basically love yourself. You have to be acceptant of yourself. The only person you need to be more like is yourself, right? So use these affirmations to get a solid grasp as to who you are and how you're feeling and how you can take where you are and move on to that better spot.
Your point under number 2, almost, I noticed that I'm feeling blank. When I was reading that as we were putting this together, I'm thinking, my God, that would fit so nicely in with tapping. That's almost the setup for a tapping scenario.
Really? Oh,
really?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can introduce tapping with that as your process.
Oh, yeah.
That could help you really kind of work through that. That's a great thought.
And tapping would be a wonderful thing to use with emotional insecurity.
Definitely. Kind of get you refocused, regrounded.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about what can we do. So earlier I said that there's this vicious cycle that occurs. So we have a thought that forms, which then generates our feelings, and our feelings then become a behavior, and our behavior then affects our thoughts, and it goes round and round and round and round. So we need to, I'm going to pull from cognitive behavioral therapy, and they say the first thing you want to do is to catch that thought before it becomes the emotion. Now, are we telling you that you shouldn't have any emotions? No. All right, because the next step is where it becomes the powerful, because is your thought or feeling helpful to the situation? If your car broke down and you're now having this woe is me, all right, yeah, you're going to be late for your appointment, but feeling bad about that, is that helping the situation? And it is not. And so what we need to do is to change that thought process or our feeling of what we're feeling at that point in time, or the behavior that we've decided to take, so that it becomes a more healthy response. And sometimes being neutral, it doesn't have to be positive, but being neutral about it so that we can get through that situation. So we call it the 3 C's, catch it, check it, and then change it. and for some reason I lost advancement capabilities, Angelo.
There you go.
Thank you. So these 5 different articles each have a number of different suggestions, and some of them I explored or mentioned in the notes, kind of like a summary. But in order to appreciate it, I definitely recommend that you dig up these articles and take a look at them. The one I really liked was the Perfect 24 Hours article. This is very much oriented to self-approach. Explore Your Mind and Patterson and Troy's article also can be used for the self-help version. Now, the Psych Alive with Voice Therapy, this is a combination of cognitive, affective, and behavioral therapy. They give you some instructions that could you do it by yourself? Yeah, but it works better if you have a therapist that is trained in voice therapy to manage your way through that. But if I had to rank them, from a self-help perspective, I'd first start off with Perfect 24 Hours. And then it's almost a 50-50 split between Explore Your Mind and Patterson and Troy's article. Next, please. So we always try to find something that's a little bit different. We've already mentioned that EFT or tapping would be a very powerful tool, but what happens if you aren't in a situation where you want to be standing there and be tapping on the various points and people look at you? All right. Humming is something that some people do instinctively when they start getting tensed. And I was one of those people that sometimes I just started to hum and I had no idea why. Okay, that's great. When I took a mind-body activation course this past summer in July and August, one of the things that was talked about was humming. And I started doing more of it. And it's like, wow, yeah, this is kind of cool. So lots of things happen when we hum. Now, nitric oxide in and of itself is a sterilant. We use it to process certain medical equipment. And there was one reference to an article where they're telling healthcare practitioners to hum more to create this nitric oxide to sterilize the air that they breathe so that they don't bring in respiratory pathogens. I thought that was kind of cool. But the other thing is that nitric oxide has the ability to lower your blood pressure and pulse rate. And humming stimulates the vagus nerve, which also dumps a chemical out onto the heart, which causes that heart rate to slow down as well. This is a win-win for us. Because when we get into that heart rate variability is the measurement of how well we are can deal with when stress comes. So that is a very important number. And I wear something called an aura ring, and it measures that. And it can show, obviously, the higher the HRV number or heart rate variability number, the better you are. And like one of the things that I noticed that can quickly knock this down is if I don't get a good night's sleep. Last night I did not, and I was into single digits. I get a good night's sleep, I can be higher. With physical activity, particularly the cardio activity, I noticed that my heart rate variability number increases. So there's lots of things that go into that. The other thing that it does is it stimulates melatonin. Now, we know that melatonin is the sleep hormone. However, it is also a very antipotent, anti-inflammatory. We've talked so many times throughout the emotion course how much inflammation is our nemesis. And so this just gives us another tool to help decrease that inflammation response. And who doesn't like being high? All right, so humming creates the natural opiates in our bodies, which are known as endorphins. The other thing that it does is it increases our level of oxytocin, which is the trust hormone. Now, advance the slide, please. thanks. So there is a book by Goldman and Goldman, and it is in the reference list. If you really want to learn about this, please get the book. There is a Kindle version for those of you who have it. But it walks through, and there's so much science that I never realized that went into humming. So I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of it here. All right. So when one hums, you should allow at least 15 minutes, and sometimes you will need to do more. Now, a couple of things. That should be uninterrupted time. We should do it when we are not in an activity that requires concentration. And the other thing is that humming, if we go for various pitches, we got to make sure that we're not going so high or so low that we start stressing the vocal cords and damage them. That would be a bad thing. And the other thing is that when you start humming, you may only get 5 to 10 seconds. With breathing and with consistent practice, you can go out. I can hold a hum now for 20 to 30 seconds if I do my proper breathing ahead of time. And I'm noticing that my hums are getting more bolder and can be held longer. And I have no discomfort. Had I tried to hold when I first started legitimately starting to hum after that mind-body activation course, there's no way I would have gotten 30 seconds in. So how do we hum? Let's get us comfortable. So we want to be seated, upright, back straight, feet are flat on the floor, so legs need to be uncrossed, and eyes are closed. We want to ground ourselves, okay? Now, we want those nice, deep diaphragmatic breaths, and we want to initiate through our nose. Now, some authors say we want to expel it through our nose. Others will say through our mouths. I really don't care. Just get the air in and out, but I want to fill up the belly as well as the chest. So 3 nice, deep diaphragmatic breaths. Now, begin to hum. Now, 2 things. If you have like a cold or your allergies are really bad and your nose is plugged up, humming is going to become almost impossible. All right. But when you hum, we need to make sure that the lips are closed. You can initiate the hum with an open lip, and then you want to close it. So maybe for a second, second and a half, you'll be open and then let it go. So it would be something like hum. All right. When you get used to it, you can initiate that without even having your mouth open. Mm. The other thing that you can do is one of the things they recommend is if you really don't know what to do, find a song that is about 5 minutes long and hum to that and follow it. The only thing that I would recommend is make sure that it's within your vocal range so that you don't stretch the cords. All right. And if you, one of the activities that they have is have you place your hand on your chest, hand on your head, and varying the pitch. And you can feel the transmission change from chest to head as you increase the pitch upwards. And that has some very important properties that are detailed elsewhere in the book. Now, after you're done that humming, you want to sit quietly in silence with your eyes closed. We want to continue that deep diaphragmatic breathing for 5 minutes and enjoy that solitude. And over time, you're going to start to notice your body relaxes so much better. And then what Goldman and Goldman is, take time to become grounded. And for some people, this oxygenation that naturally occurs super oxygenates the brain, and you can get a little giddy or lightheaded. And there have been some people that have reported that they've gotten up and fallen down. Don't be that person. All right. Angelo and I don't want to come and pick you up. How about it, Angelo?
No, definitely not.
All right. So make sure that you're unsteady. And if need be, for most people, this takes about 5 minutes to reacclimate themselves. And as you do, so When you're done that 5 minutes of breathing, now start to, I like from the bottom up where I feel my feet. Then I'm aware of my lower legs, my upper legs. I'm aware of my pelvis and buttocks. I come up through my spine. I feel my arms, and as they're resting on the arms of the chair, I'm aware of my neck. I'm aware of my head. I'm now aware of my whole body. So that's that grounding process. However, if you're unsteady, take more time. Be safe with this. Now, I will admit that, have I hummed while I'm driving my car? Absolutely. One of the things that I'll do is I'll run through my chakra mantras, because the other day, 83 and 30 was an absolute nightmare. It was a parking lot. And I was getting very tense. I knew I had to be at an appointment and I wasn't going to make it. I called, left them know, but I just felt so much tension and so much anger. And I needed to get rid of that because I knew my blood pressure was going to be taken. So I went through my chakra mantras in a humming fashion, and almost instantaneously, it's like, okay, fine. It was a peaceful, awesome day. So, Angelo, I think we're
yeah. Hey, real quick before I jump off this slide.
For sure.
I'm not going to be able to hum for 15 minutes. I'm not going to be able to train my brain to shut off for that long. If somebody's just starting out on this, what would you recommend for an effective humming, or maybe just kind of break into it and see if this is something that they would like to further explore?
With anything, start slow and build up. Where they find maximum effects is where you're actually humming for that 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes of sitting quietly and then allowing yourself to ground. Some people ground a little bit quicker, so it may be less than 15 minutes.
Okay.
But this is like any other process. It's a practice. I know when I first started back in July, yeah, we were told that 5 minutes, and my voice got tired after a minute. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to push it. So it's like anything else. It takes practice till you get there.
Okay.
So start off with a minute and then build up. But the end goal is that 5 minute mark.
Okay, cool. Guys, I don't know. I have more questions, but I'm gonna kind of hold them for now. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Anything come to mind? Any thoughts, any questions, any suggestions? What did you like about it?
I thought it was a great presentation. I like the way that it ties a lot of the other sessions that you've done together. The order that you've done them in, again, probably not by accident, but the order that you've done them in, the ones that you presented before, kind of laid the groundwork for, you know, if you're not in a good place, now you're at the end of these sessions, and now we're going to build you up and show you how to do that.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for that, Lori. We've questioned if we did do them in the right order, if we're or if we were to do this again, would we do them in a different order? But hearing you validate that this was a good order for you, we appreciate that. Thanks for that feedback.
Yeah.
I would definitely have to agree with her, because number one thing is, long story short, by the way, very, very, very much informative, much of informative information, let's put it that way, with learning a lot of things. And for one thing is, long story short, for what I've been going through for the past few months, I've actually, from the past couple of slides that I've seen from Angelo when he had the one slide, and from when you were saying, hey, that's me, that's me, that's me. Well, I was saying for the same thing too, from what I have been going through for the past. Those of you that don't know, with the shooting that happened back in August at Walmart, and with everything is going through my mind, and it's just like, you know, you want to burst and everything like that. And as Angelo had that slide up, I found almost, I wouldn't say almost everything on there, but just a few that, hey, that's me. And the only thing I mean, there's like including the oils. The only thing that I've been pretty much using is the bergamot and also I think the cavaiba.
Mm-hmm.
But me, I always like to experiment on things. But the thing is, the only thing I've been doing is just sniffing. Like I know a couple classes that you've had before when you put like, hey, why don't you put this on your hand and, you know, smell it. And that's what I've been doing. But the only thing what I want to do is experiment more, like, you know, maybe put on the top of my wrist or, you know, put on my face somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's just, as I said, I'm a person that likes to experiment stuff.
Yeah, you can definitely experiment with that. And, you know, oils work differently for different people sometimes. You know, me taking them internally is where I get the most benefit. Sometimes other people will get use the same exact oils, but use them topically and get those same benefits. So sometimes learning how your body best uses the oils is a little goes along with that experimentation.
Exactly. And it's just, and the thing is, yes, I know it's going to take a while because the only thing is, since this happened back in August, and it's just like, I'm not the only associate, but the good thing is I'm at least, you know, talking to a counselor. This is the one slide as Sean, I mean, you or Sean had showed about counseling and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm still doing that. The good thing is that my job, they actually have what we call like a third-party counselor that comes in, talks to associates, or if we need to talk to them again, then what we'll do is, you know, phone call them. So, which is a good thing. So, but yeah, so long time.
Yeah, it's a process to deal with that. And recognition is one of the first things, realizing that you do have these things that you need to work through, and then comes the hard work of trying to actually work through them.
May I tell a tale out of school?
Sure.
All right. So as Elaine was proofreading this, as she was going down through that list and some of the paragraphs, she's going, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, yeah, that hits home. So yeah, we all have probably one or more of those 15 am I insecure? Again, it is a part of our daily life. It's just, how do we manage our emotions? If we manage them well, then we don't have insecurity. It's when we mismanage the emotion that it creates that insecurity.
That makes sense.
I wrote a note down here when you were talking about those 15 things. And the note that I wrote down is, if you hear yourself saying yes, but you don't know the real me, often when people are giving you a compliment, you may be having trouble with insecurity.
That's true.
Because a lot of times it's hard. Part of what our insecurity does is it won't even let us receive positive from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
And that was something. And there was one other thing. Where you were looking at the triangle and we got to check it. One of the things that or change it. One of the things that has really helped me in the past year is asking myself, what am I supposed to be learning from this?
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point I can turn it from, oh, there's something wrong with me, I've got a problem, to I can learn something from this. And what is that?
And of course, because of my, where I come from spiritually, I always think, what's God trying to teach me?
Mhm.
So it's a good way to kind of, for me, to turn things around a little.
And that's a really good explanation of finding that neutral ground. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to say something. I just want to say something. Kay, that was really great. But I want to say something to the comments about taking the oils internally or topically.
Uh-huh.
There's some oils that I can't take internally because they just like really wreak havoc on my digestive system.
Uh-huh.
And there's probably about 95% of the oils, especially if they're fragrance, that I can't apply topically because I have the contact dermatitis. So what I do is I will sniff the bottle, either do it from the bottle, put it in my hands or whatever. And believe it or not, I put most of my oils in my hair and wear them like as a perfume, as an aromatic. And I made a comment in the chat about the beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it's funny that you brought that up, because every time I wear that, and it's not just because you're reading the name of the oil blend, there's something that really happens when you either inhale it or wear it that really makes you feel special. So knowing that we can't get it anymore, or I'd like to get some more, but now that you've provided the copycat of it, that's huge. That's huge.
Good.
So thank you.
Lori, I'll show you another way that you can get it. There's a couple of Facebook groups I can introduce you to, and I literally say, hey, who's got a bottle of Beautiful? And they'll message me and I'll pay for shipping and buy the bottle, because I'm willing to spend that. I'm willing to do that because I know somebody out there has a bottle that they're doing nothing with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you're getting a lot of benefit from it, we'll find you a couple bottles and we'll get them sent up your way.
I actually have 10 or 12 roller bottles that are, they're actually blends that are to be used topically. And I use them as perfumes because that's the only way that I can use them.
I like the hair. How do you apply it in your hair? Do you like go under like the nape of the neck, or?
No, because I can't put it anywhere near my skin. So I literally just run the roller bottle over my hair.
Okay, so just right over the top and just, oh, okay.
And that makes really good sense to me, because we know from the aromatherapy training, the nose is so powerful and it is such a short connection to the brain. Yeah, that really makes sense. So essentially, Lori, what you're doing is a form of aroma touch.
Okay.
Yeah. She's a personal diffuser too.
Yes, yes. Everybody benefits. Yay!
Well, it's nice when you walk through a crowd and you turn heads and like, oh, well, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, and the interesting thing is, and the same thing happened before I got introduced to oils. When I did wear commercial perfume, I'm one of those people that as soon as I apply it to myself, I can no longer smell it. And the same thing happens to me with the oils. As soon as I put them on, I can't smell them anymore, but somebody else can.
Yeah. But you're still getting the aromatic effect from it, believe it or not. Even though you can't smell it, you're still getting the effect.
Right.
So awesome. Any other thoughts, questions, comments before we sign up? We went a little bit longer today, but this was some really good information. Sean, I really appreciate what you found and what you put together for us.
You're welcome, but I also have to thank you, because you take the other half of this burden. So it definitely it would not be manageable solely.
Yeah, that's I agree. But I'm hoping you guys are finding this information beneficial for you too. I'm going to go ahead.
You're still recording.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.